to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rotten about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It's only one I choose to devote my life to. That's okay.
It means something. It means something.
And they got away.
You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing. It's a science place. It is a scientific fact. And we're all up in your face. It's time once again for the one, the only Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it. Special Monday edition of Protonic Reversal. Again, used to call these quarantine editions. We ain't quarantined anymore, though. So I don't know what it is. Just more Protonic Reversal. More bang for your buck. More bang for your potential buck. $1 a month. And more than likely not buck at all. Not that I'm bitter about it or anything. I'm just saying. Just a statement of fact. Hey, so got a treat for y'all. Notice I said y'all. I'm not bringing mine just yet, but Traindodge, great band, and really, really cool, long-lived creative outfit. And they have a new record, and it's their 7th record, which is nuts. And most bands are lucky to get it together for one, you know? So, I mean, it's 7 records for these guys. Pretty consistent, pretty consistently rad. Very excited to be talking to Jason about this, because there's something to be said for longevity, for sure. Speaking of which, welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I'm your host, Conan Neutron. I'm a rock and roll lifer who has been touring and recording for 23 years, most known for the band Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends. Music is a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this very long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect, but who may not be household names. This is episode 351. Now, if this is your first time listening to the show, archives of it available for free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding at protonicreversal.com. However, if you want to support the show and get episodes sooner, this is the buck I mentioned earlier, $1 a month at patreon.com/protonicreversal will achieve that goal. And if you like the show or even just a single episode, please feel free to like, subscribe on your platform of choice, share it around the internet, or even leave a review. All that helps people discover the show, beats back the almighty algorithmic overlords, and it's just a darn nice thing to do. So there you go. So one of the many things I'm excited about with tonight's guest on this very special edition, which maybe I should open up in the comments as to what these should be called since they're not quarantine editions anymore, is that I've frequently, I don't know if I've called it to their face, but I call them Pride of Oklahoma, and I believe it, because when you think of the state of Oklahoma, until recently, well, now I can name 2 bands, and we'll get to that. But I think these guys have just been doing the work for the longest time and doing a darn good job of it. I have seen them many times, and for some reason, uncharacteristically, never really interacted with them until like somewhat recently. But I'm a big fan of Traindodge. Traindodge has their 7th record coming out. Let's give it up, if you will. I used to have the fake applause. I don't have that anymore. For Mr. Jason Smith of Traindodge. Dude, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Yeah. Like the crowd was like going wild and stuff. And then I guess I still have the tech to do it. I just forget to do it now. I don't know. Forget a lot of things these days. Anyway, it's great to have you, man. Record number 7. That's
it's actually 8.
Is it 8? Oh,
it is our 8. Yeah, I lose track sometimes.
I'm gonna fire my producer. I'm the producer. That's what's funny about that. So, dude, 8 records, even better. I mean, like, and the point is that y'all are a pretty long-lived band. I mean, it's 96. Is that right?
Yeah, we turned 27 last month.
Yeah, and that's man. It's there's a lot of bands that can't keep it together for a year. you know, and here you are as an institution, really, and especially from again a place that is not exactly peace and love, a hotbed of hipster activity as is Oklahoma, although maybe now more than it used to be.
No. Yeah.
So tell me about the beginnings of Traindodge, because I don't know this story. Like, by the time I kind of became hip to you guys, it was definitely early 2000s. Replicator was already going, and one of the first things somebody like said was like, "Hey, there's this band called Traindodge from Oklahoma. You guys should play with them." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool," and we didn't. But I think I tried at one point, and then like it didn't work. Oh, I remember actually that. I remember what happened. It's incredibly boring, but the fact is that like people that knew were like, "Oh yeah, Traindodge. They're a great band from Oklahoma. You should check them out. You should connect with them, et cetera, et cetera." But is that just from you guys getting out in the world? Like, tell me about how the whole bloody affair got started. I mean, it's been a while, right? Like, you're way past voting age. Like, you'd be like a postgraduate if the band was a human being, right?
A person, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did start in '96, and I mean, there was nothing happening in town at all. It was dead.
Yeah.
You always hear those stories about like the hot new local band that like develops themselves and they get rolling and they all of a sudden they're playing all the cool places and then they get all the cool opening bills and all that. That was never our town. That was never our story.
Right.
It was just there was no scene. Your scene was whatever 2-3 bands were willing to play with you at that given month.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just honestly, it's like it just really fueled our hunger for touring. Like well, let's get on the road and see. I kind of think it's probably better somewhere else. So let's just try and like just through a lot of dumb touring too. Just a lot of just blind go because that's how you do it. But,
yeah, just like I mean, not even coming. You mean not coming in informed necessarily, but just going and just kind of like the blunderbuss approach, I guess you might call it.
Yeah. It's I mean, the logic was like going was better than not going.
Right.
We'd rather be doing this, even if it means we're failing at it. But we were desperate early 20-somethings, man. I mean, we were ready to go for it.
And that's when you can take those kinds of risks without there being
absolutely
without it necessarily affecting negatively people you love. It's you're just affecting your own mental health, perhaps, but you're not.
Which it did.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Game respect game. I get it. But it's. I absolutely sympathize with the like, well, maybe there's some places out here that can, that aren't where we live, that people might be into what we're doing.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. And it has happened and it does happen. And it's how you build a following, and especially I think there's a thing, especially in places that are not, New York or LA or something, that bands are almost treated with disdain if they just play locally, where it's just like, all right, whatever, these guys, what are they doing? It's certainly not seen as important.
Yeah. Or if like, you walk in and like someone just sees that a band from Oklahoma is on the bill. Yeah. And like you walk in and like you can almost like, you can feel the eyeballs sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, all right.
Not everywhere, but some places on the East Coast, maybe. But
yeah, well, there's definitely that. There's definitely a lot. You're coming in as a band from Oklahoma. To me, it feels like, and again, you have to realize I'm from California, but I'm from the part of California that has more in common with Kansas, right? I'm from the Central Valley. I'm from the area that is not cool, not a cool spot at all. Now, eventually, Granddaddy was. People caught on to that band being really good, of which I thought was an affectation. I was like, I assure you it is not. They are literally drinking beer out of the country. That is like just a statement of like what they're up to. But it was a fight to find art to engage with if you were a connoisseur of a certain type of thing. Meaning that I don't feel that this is the case now, but you had to like go to the Bay Area. You had to like go to away from your home to be able to find these things, because it just wasn't going to happen. And I think that there's this resting state of hickhood that comes associated with some states, and unfortunately Oklahoma being one of them.
Sure.
That is, again, you're starting off in a ditch.
And not a pretty one.
No, exactly. Not even an adorned ditch. This is just like a standard ditch. This is nothing to write home about, so to speak. And but I always felt that, every time I saw you guys, it's like over the years, like it seemed like you were always just not only real driven at what you're doing, but very aligned with what you're doing. I mean, everybody was like, just this is the mission. We're doing this, and to the point that doesn't matter where you're from. You could be from, freaking Mississippi. You could be from Alaska. It doesn't matter if you're coming hard, especially in those days, because remember, these are days where you could see a band and you can't just fire up the internet and get their whole discography. You had to buy the CD, or you would never see them again.
Yeah.
Or hear from them again. And as a very immediate band, it feels like you guys almost use the pseudo Black Flag model of just we'll just play it anywhere they'll have us for years and years. Am I off base with that?
Nope, not at all. A lot of the DIY stuff, like Fugazi, was huge.
Yeah.
In our world. So yeah, just that whole concept of making your own shit happen is that got us into the van and out of Oklahoma.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a strange kind of thing that I've noticed now, that it's almost like if you stick around long enough, you be like, oh yeah, cool, respect, and it's like, oh really? 'Cause that's never happened before. So respect, huh? Cool, that's awesome. like you get almost because there's now there are such a thing as old punk rockers.
Sure.
Right, but when we first got into it, nobody had gotten old yet. That was still pretty young music, really. And I have noticed that, and I think that's a good thing, that a band like Traindodge can have some respect put on the name just for continuing to do and having continued to be quality work. Because I'm telling you, Jason, I listen to this record. It's just as vital as anything else that you guys have done. It's killer.
Oh, thank you, man.
No,
very cool. Thank you.
It's not all right, let's what do we got? All right, let's do this. No, it's
this whole song and dance.
Yeah, it's you sound very engaged with what you're doing. It builds on stuff that you've done before. And I want to get into the record specifically also, but I guess what I want to get at is from your perspective, and again, coming from Oklahoma and having so many things that are kind of set in your way as stumbling blocks. Was the idea to sort of bulldoze through them, and what's the motif, especially in those early days? And we're talking about late '90s now at this point. So
yeah. I mean, internet wasn't even the wildfire that it became yet.
Right.
We were still having mailing lists and putting stamps on postcards and all going to half of them going to college dorms and half of them come back.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because when they sign up, I'm sure it's accurate then, and then who knows? College change over every year, right? Some cities are great one year, and then they totally suck the next year because the people that made the cool stuff happen moved away.
Yeah, but you do those things with the thing. Hey, it's just so when we come back next year, you'll know, you'll get it, you'll find out. I don't know. Looking back, it's man, we wasted a lot of time with some of that.
But there was no other way to do it. There was no such thing as
no. And again, it's just you just go and do these things, and you just push hard because you don't know what else to do. And I don't know. I didn't want to half-ass anything. It's well, let's try it. Let's go to a coast and see. And we'd only play 3 shows or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But we tried, and but the next time was better. And then you meet the cool band finally, and then oh no, why are you playing over here? Play over here, and
right.
It takes several of those, and then that why, and then over 3 tours later, you're okay, this is kind of starting to pay off a little. We have less days off, and we're coming home with a little money now. It's
right. It's not completely and utterly soul draining. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, still just small whatever, but it's we could track the progress.
Yeah.
It was getting better, so it's let's keep at it, see where it goes. And we also like playing together, and we're all good friends. We probably shouldn't skip right past that, but
Yeah, that helps, right? That's if you enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, it's key. That's key. So yeah, I think with lesser bandmates, like stories like this end sooner, I think.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing that just was readily apparent. Any iteration of Traindodge is just how like much, the word is band, right? You're banding together, and however you got there, and however long it has been, like it's always been very much like a unified thing. Is that something that's always kind of come naturally with Traindodge, or is that something that you had to put in practices in place or something?
No. Actually, so the musical core Traindodge is Rob, my brother, on drums.
Yep.
And our bass player Chris. The three of us played for 3 years in a prior band.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
okay,
and
so
then,
that's
like the three of us were cultivating our tastes.
So that's 30 years, basically. 30 years of playing together.
We've been playing. Yeah, we've been playing with Chris. Rob and I've been playing with Chris for 30 years.
That's wild.
Yeah, but like our it is. But like our musical tastes were starting to. The three of our musical tastes were starting to gravitate toward where we started, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
And the other bandmate we had at the time wasn't, and so. Traindodge actually was born out of our way of like, well, here, let's go do our thing now. And like at that point, we're like, I'm on the same page. Are you on the same page? Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
Are you on the same page? Like
No, this is another band. This is a different band. This is called something different.
The night we decided to make that split, I remember we were so unified on just an idea. Like let's get rid of this guy and start writing new songs. And like when just making that decision was just kind of like that was the first kind of springboard of like, no, this is us now.
Very freeing in its way, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's it's still the musical core of the band. It's still been Rob, Chris, and I they're on every recording.
Yeah, it's been very consistent. So tell me about the run up towards, because you're around for a couple years before about Tomorrow's Mileage, right? That's 99, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what are those early years? Getting your legs out under you, right? Like what's that like? Because at that point, Rob's already got some keyboards and stuff on there. Like it's pretty fully formed.
It's fully formed. We didn't get nuts with the keyboards until later. He was
yes.
he was tinkering, I think, then for sure. But we were following all the indie rock of the day of those years, the 90s, Fugazi, Jesus Lizard, Unwound, Rodan, Juno 44, like all that stuff. We were just Don Caballero.
Yeah.
So you would just like see their postcards and see their tour dates and like, oh, they're playing these clubs. Like, well, let's send a tape to that club. Like,
yeah, exactly. Let's go play
this
there.
Is the archaic shit I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, and like. Yes, I know, man. I know. Because it's like,
tapes.
Hey, did you get the tape? Here's my favorite. Did you get the tape? Oh yeah. I didn't have time to listen to it though. Just what do you guys sound like? Oh my god. Okay. And then you have to like start listing bands, and then it's even better when they don't understand the references of what you're. It's like okay.
Right, the first two bands, they either go no or.
I can tell you a real life example that was like, okay, well, some people say we kind of sound like Shellac. You know Shellac? Nope. Okay, how about Sonic Youth? Nope. Nirvana? Yeah, I know that one. Okay, oh my god. Okay, so it's like the really noisy parts of Nirvana. When it's like, that's not really, but okay.
To people I don't know, it's like, this isn't accurate anymore, but for a minute we were getting Fugazi meets Rush.
No, because there's a proggy thing to Traindodge that, but it's coming at that, and Fugazi's a good. I mean, I actually thought Jehu before I thought Fugazi, frankly. But
fair enough. Yeah.
But I'm also West Coast guys.
Sure, I love those records too. Yeah.
But like there is something, even though it isn't prog, it's almost like parts of it are almost prog presenting. Like especially as a live show, right? Because if you see like a drummer that's like as badass as you find in Traindodge, right? That like is like kind of like, oh wow, that's some crazy like, again, almost like Don Cabby stuff in like what would be like maybe a more traditional rock song.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like none of us are really ninjas on our instruments. I mean, Rob's pretty great, but I mean, we're not prog spirited is kind of how I describe it. It's like progressive rock without the chops. Kind of.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So the idea, okay, so I put it this way is almost like that, like the songs are progressive, but without sounding like prog. Like
not
prog,
not up his own ass. Yeah, sure.
yeah, exactly. Like I mean, there's a lot of cultural shorthand for prog bands that I find deeply hilarious, and
for sure,
I'll spare the audience from. But I can see where if your only frame of reference is Rush, because of course Rush is like a huge rock band that like is ostensibly has lots of proggy parts to them. So it's like, oh yeah, it sounds like Rush and Fugazi. Okay, well there you go. I mean, is that accurate? It gets you in the neighborhood, man. It's
it's like that's not really accurate, but if you like the sound of that,
yeah,
you'll probably be compelled if nothing else.
Does that sound terrible to you, or does that sound interesting? Because if it sounds interesting,
does any part of that offends you?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with such a divisive band as Rush. So, but
like Fugazi, it's like if you don't know who Fugazi is, like I can't help you. It's like I described it to some coworkers, and they're like. You mean like Weezer? I'm like, no. Like I can't.
Not at all.
There's some leaps I just can't take with either.
Well, and Fugazi they're the kind of band that like Melvins or something where it's like when you say something sounds like Fugazi, it's like, well, what does that mean? Does it sound like repeater Fugazi? Does it sound like The Argument? Does it sound like like Waiting Room? Like what are you referring to when you say that? And it tends to be something where, for the most part, if there's a band that I can think of that sounds like Fugazi, it just means that they're like kind of like coming at it from this presentation of this very immediate music, maybe like with unorthodox in rock and roll, like stops and starts and things along those lines, but it doesn't necessarily sound like any specific thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it just is like, no, it just sounds like Waiting Room. Okay. But but with you guys, I can see it. But of course, I know that frame of reference. Just like how I knew Drive Like Jehu, I'm like, oh wow, I don't think I've ever at that time. I was like, I don't think I'd ever heard a band that sounded like that they knew who Drive Like Jehu was, other than Drive Like Jehu.
Right. Yeah.
And then later on, I found a bunch of them. I was like, oh, you sound like Discount Drive Like Jehu. Okay.
Discount Drive Like.
Which is still fine. I mean, like
Jehu Light.
Yeah, it's like pick and save Drive Like Jehu, whatever way you call it. Dollar General Drive Like Jehu, sure. I mean, there's worse bands that sound like the dollar store version of, I suppose. But so folks that have an appetite for that kind of music, they have that shorthand. They can engage with it. But again, we're talking about getting you guys established. Like it sounds like that first record. I haven't listened to that one in a while. I actually still have the CD.
Oh wow.
But I still have all of my CDs, so and they're in unsorted boxes, and I don't see that. Look, if I went through the pandemic and didn't go through and sort my CDs, it's probably not happening at this point. But every once in a while, I'll pull something out if it's out of.
I never took mine down.
Good for you, man.
I still got them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I unfortunately moved more than a couple times, so at one point you get out of the habit of doing it once, and then it's like whatever. They're all ripped anyway. Yeah. It's fine.
I know where this stuff is, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I want to find that. I don't know where this is. Okay. So, first album, though. Back to the first album, kind of the run-up to that. Everyone's very aligned. People know, you guys know what you're doing.
We think we do.
You know what you want to do.
Yeah, no, we had gotten our first booking agent the first year, but the year before that, and we were getting excited, and we're cool. Well, this is what we need. We'll just need something out to sell. Yeah. And then she'll get us out there to sell it. And we thought we had made it. Like, great.
Isn't it getting, if you're a band that likes touring, it doesn't really get much better than that, right? I mean, man.
When we formed, I didn't have many lofty goals at all, but like I thought making a record and going on a tour would be great.
Yeah.
Like that seemed like a lifetime in itself right there. But when you're 22, it's like it's a long time.
Well, and there's we're from the era where the selling the CD. CD is like a flyer for the show, right? So it's like the Minutemen model. in that way. So when you're out and about, how long does it take for you to find like your like-minded travelers? Does it happen pretty quickly, or?
We found friends immediately in Kansas City, Missouri. But we also lived really close. Still live really close. We can get there really quickly. It's probably our most played city outside of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's a close drive, you know.
Yeah, no, it's easy. And then we were going to Texas a lot. We were finding like-minded people there. But man, we were playing a lot of the dumb work I'm talking about is like you find a booking somewhere like in Idaho and it's like a football bar or whatever, or it's, you know what I mean? Sure. Like, but hey, we played Idaho, damn it. You know?
Yeah. Check that off the list.
Yeah.
My favorite was we literally played, I thought it was a club called The Shed in Massachusetts. No, it was literally a kid's shed where you threw punk rock shows. Shed. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's The Shed. I guess I should have, there you go. Again, in the times before everybody knew everything on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But that was, were you a big, before the booking age, of course, book your own fucking life advocate?
Oh, yeah, I did that. I did that fairly late too, even. I used to use that stuff. I would use whatever we could get our hands on. And then usually when you find a like-minded band, you would just sort of like mine their contacts too. Like, who do you know in Indiana? Like, who do you know in Ohio? Like,
sure. Yeah.
You wouldn't ask the funk band that down the hall in your practice space that, you know, like
no.
Like, yeah. So when you found somebody who was kind of like on a similar mission than you would sort of like just try to get whatever trade whatever secrets you had.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I remember. Yeah, actually, I remember, like when I kind of first heard about you guys, it was in sort of the same breath, if you will, as some of the Kansas City bands. Mm-hmm. But then being like, I was like, oh, they're from Oklahoma. I was like, huh. And my first thought was, that's cool. If we ever play Oklahoma, I know there's a good band we can contact. And we did, and I forgot to contact you. But anyway, so that's got to be like what? Like, would it be Riddle of Steel at that point, or like what? No, Ring Cicada, like that whole.
Oh, the St. Louis brand, yeah. I mean, we ended up on Aesthetic Records. They're out of St. Louis. Riddle of Steel, Roma 79.
Roma, oh my God, they're playing a show. Guys. Do you see they're playing a show? That's awesome.
Rob, our drummer, is our keyboard player.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I would love to see them again. It's been far too long. But
yeah, the last time they played was 2009 in New York City when they were on tour with us in Story of the Sea.
Yeah, that's.
But it's been a full decade has passed.
I feel like that's a band that's so great that I've seen them play a lot of shows that were like me and two other people, and it's like, oh,
sure,
yeah.
I was one of those two people sometimes
right, exactly. And it's like, this is so lush, and like, what's the problem? Why aren't people like? Anyway, whatever. But
but no, we did the St. Louis. We had Riddle, Steel, Ring Cicada, that stuff. But Kansas City, though, I mean, my God, Season of Risk, Molly McGuire, Shiner,
Risk, yeah,
Giants Chair, Boys Life, Dirt Nap. I mean,
yep.
At one point, we were trying to sound like all those bands all at once. You know,
which all of those bands all kind of sound like different things all at once too. So there you go.
They kind of, it depends on who you talk to, but like we were trying to like, well, let's take. I like how Season of Risk does this, but like, the Boys Life will do this, or like just kind of pull these nuggets out of everywhere and like, mix it up somehow. Like, but yeah, we were huge, just Kansas City people. But some people thought we were from Kansas City at one point.
Oh, because you were there so much, right?
We were playing the Brick once a month at one point. I mean,
look, yeah, it's you go where the people are, and you do well. You know, that's what it comes down to. So you find some common cause with, you know, these other cities, and there's almost a commonality of sound to a certain degree, at least maybe as a contrast to what it isn't.
Sure.
So, is that emboldening? Is that, I mean, again, you're sharing tour contacts. Hey, you know, who are you playing with in here? You know, where's there to play there, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's how communities start.
It's extremely validating.
Yeah.
because it just that hunch I had of I don't want to keep playing these same three piddly places here anymore. Let's get out and do stuff.
Sure.
I suspect it's better. And when that kind of when you fast forward and you're playing you're meeting some of these awesome, amazing bands that I still actually listen to today.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like, yeah, no, I was right. We needed it. Let's
Right.
we were right to try this.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a complete waste of everybody's time. Right.
No,
sure.
no. So yeah, that did start to happen. You started meeting like people who got it, or we felt that got it.
Yeah. So tell me of course. So all right. So before we move on, I figure since this is again 8, not 7. Sorry, my bad. I'm real good at counting. It'd be cool to get like some kind of, and we can talk about other stuff as well. But like, I want to go deep on the new record, but I kind of want to talk about each of the records as well because I think there's something kind of cool and interesting about each one.
Sure.
So start with About Tomorrow's Mileage. So obviously it's the first full length, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that one. Tell me where you're at as a band. Like, just give me some memories on that record.
Sure. We had been a trio for about a year. We had a guy who just sang for the first year.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we kind of honed our trio thing down. Like, now there wasn't a guy to like hold the mic and like, oh no, here's the verse. Like, oh no.
Clearly defined, yeah.
yeah. So like now all our June of 44 isms like, oh, let's sprawl here. And like,
yeah.
I thought we ended up like all these like 7-8 minute songs that are like on that record even. But that's on a label called 6x6. The most interesting thing I can say about that is the guy who ran that thing was in that band For Love Not Lisa, who is most famous for being on that first Crow soundtrack.
That's awesome.
Went platinum.
All right. Yeah, good. Yeah, good for that guy.
So they were on East West Atlantic. That was back in the days where you could be a small band and have like 2 major label records for a while and just still kind of coast a little bit. I think they had 2 records on that. So they kind of got some breaks along the way. But like this guy met a lot of label people and he decided he wanted to start a label. And 6x6 was like his indie label kind of thing. It came into our lives about as it left our lives as quickly as it came in. It was by October of that year, it was done. They were gone. Like, oh yeah, we're done. I'm moving to Nashville. I'm gonna try another company now. Like it lasted a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So like we got that first record out of our systems really fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we went on a tour with that, and then we did our own like 3-month thing after that.
Well, there was a thing on No Karma, right? The Torch.
The very next year was the Torch EP. Yeah, Michael Wojtasiak put that out.
Yeah.
Can't remember how we met him, but that's funny. We played Madison last year, and we stayed at his house, and he cooked us breakfast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was actually considering driving out to Madison to see y'all play, and I said
at the bike shop.
Yeah. But JB went, and I know a bunch of people that did go, so
it was great. We were blown away.
You know, that's another interconnection point because Replicator was distributed through No Karma as well. So I remember that.
That's how I knew you. Okay, that's how I knew your name. Were you on one of those comps he put out?
Were we? I think maybe I'm trying to remember if we were. No, we weren't on one of his comps. We were on the Vantage USA comp though. The one Josh Vanek did.
Okay.
And I think we were on a compilation he distributed. You know what? Who knows? Nobody cares. It's fine.
It's all in Discogs.
It's all exactly. I don't have to remember it, which is good because even though I probably have a copy right over there, but we'll never know. The world will never know.
Yeah. But yeah, we did the touring for Mileage, and then we got some breaks along the way. We got over Cursive in Omaha, Shiner in St. Louis.
Awesome.
But anyway, we play a lot of bad shows, but there was some gold along.
A couple
the way.
Good ones too, you know.
Yeah, but then 2000 came along, and we were without a label.
Right.
But we were already talking to Michael, and we were on one of those compilations that he already did. And so we had the Torch EP. He put that out in 2000, and then our second record ended up being a split release between No Karma and Ascetic, and that was on like a Dead Trees, and that came out in 2002.
Yes. That's is that even on the? Is that on your Bandcamp? Maybe
It should be. Yeah, it should be everywhere. It should be on all our stuff.
Maybe I missed it, but I was
the black, white, and red.
Yeah. I have it, but honestly, it's more likely they would rebuy the digital than go stick up the CD.
It'll be faster.
I hate to say it, but it really would be.
Yeah.
Although I did have to. I had to pull the check engine CDR because Joe didn't have copies of it. I'm like, how do you not have copies? Like, how do you? He's like, I don't know, I just don't. I'm like, I'll find and rip it for you, and I did. So that was the last time and it took me like an hour and a half to find it too.
Yeah.
But
I've boxes and boxes and fortresses of CDs in my house. So I feel your pain.
So on a Lake of Dead Trees, right? So and that one that has like two songs from like one of the split EPs.
Yes.
Right? Okay, yeah.
The reissue had 14 songs on it. Two from the split with Gunfighter.
That's right. Gunfighter. I was like Gun something. Gun Nut. No, it's not Gun Nut. There's probably a band called Gun Nut, I'm sure, right?
Count on it.
So tell me. So and that's 2002, right? So
2002. Yeah.
So tell me about that record. Like tell me.
And then Rob had actually moved to San Diego to join Gunfighter. That was Jason Blackmore from Molly Maguire, Kansas City guy.
Yeah.
And he's been in San Diego for like 20 years now. But his new band Sisters is on Spartan Records with us now.
Oh, very cool! Awesome.
Yeah, his new band Sisters with Mario up and Spotlights. Check that out.
Are they? Oh, if it's Mario, so they're bi-coastal, or is he still living in San Diego, or what's the?
I think he's still out east.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think him and Sarah are in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's right. Or Pittsburgh. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, they moved from. They moved from one city to the other over there. All those cities are like 5 feet away from each other. Whatever.
It doesn't matter. They're always on the road.
Exactly. They're always. Doesn't matter. Nomadic.
Yeah. But Rob had moved back, and we added a second guitar player.
Right. And
we just kind of reestablished ourselves in the Midwest. That's Riddle Steel was really starting to get rolling then. Just kind of got really tight with them. And it seems like the next year we were like full-time Ascetic Records band. And there was like a schedule, like, like I want you guys a new record out here and like be on the road here. And like, just there was like I don't know, it was cool. Having to be a part of something like that was neat and not have the baggage that our last label had. It was fun.
Well, and especially when you're coming from a position of, what community there is back home is going to be sort of like a little more like thrown together. So to have something more planned out and more tactical, like that's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, and we've been that band for sure where you wrangle those bands into your hometown, trying to get your pick. No, check these guys out. Like, check these guys out. Like, we saw them flatten a place in St. Louis. You're gonna and like you drag people out, and like some people shrug and they're like, what's your problem?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know when you play with some big band. Oh yeah, I don't need you to come to those shows.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to help you, but you're also confirming why I got on the road in the first place.
Right, exactly.
But
so Rob's back.
Mm-hmm, we're back. We're reinvigorated, and we're back. We have a new label, new friends. This is what we wanted. Yeah. And our next record was The Truth, the double album that came out in 2004.
Yeah.
I saw you.
Did I see you twice between those two? I think I did. I can't remember if that was that year.
Where would it have been?
I don't remember. That's the problem. It's like I know I've seen you guys. I saw you guys twice in like kind of rapid succession,
and
then I didn't see you for 10 years. I remember that very distinctly. but I don't remember where. Oh, you know what? I think one was at the park side, but that would have been later on. That would have been
03. Probably.
Yeah. So I got one. I got one on there, but I don't have a bingo card, unfortunately. But
Roma 79 played both times we played there, so that makes total sense.
Yes.
You know Jeremy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to hang with those guys. They were a great band. So third record, right? So that's the long one. That's the 2 times. Right?
It's twice the headache. Yeah. We don't have to get into why that was a double album.
Well, it starts off, that first song's like freaking 7 minutes long or something. I mean, it's like it kind of starts off being like, oh, you're going to take your time with this one, huh? Okay. And isn't there like one that like crosses 10 minutes on there, if I remember correctly?
There's a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple. Yeah.
So what's up with that, man? What was up with that?
Yeah. I would love to say it made sense at the time, but it didn't. It's like we had enough material that looked like we had like 65 minutes.
Right.
And we're like, all right, well, let's just do the usual like track a record and like a couple of other songs for the next 7-inch or EP or whatever. And then one of us said, or
stay with me.
We just write 4 more songs and then we have a double.
Yeah.
Somehow Aesthetic Records said yes.
They're like, sure, it's CDs, it's cheap.
Yeah. So that happened. But no, it seemed like that was probably like we were doing good then. That was the shows were good. The shows were bigger, better.
It feels like you guys are kind of running hot to a certain degree.
Right? It was good. Yeah, we got some good luck. We got to open for Don Cab in Brooklyn. We got to we did some rad shit on that record. It was cool. And all the while, like Riddle of Steel's putting out their second record, just killing it.
Yeah.
And like, Rick Cicada had come out and
Rick Cicada, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Aesthetic was really starting to feel like it was a thing. It was cool.
It seemed like there was an identity there. Yeah, it seemed like there was sort of like, and again, you could almost define it by what it isn't, but there's definitely an aesthetic, even though it's the bands didn't sound exactly like each other, whatever.
No, but very much still that thing of if you're a fan of one, there's a good chance you're going to like the two other or the other. You know what I mean? There's like if any of those bands were to package together and go out, it's like. You're going to get a lot of the same people.
Right. Absolutely.
Which was fine, which was cool. I don't know. There was something kind of unifying in that. I mean, that was...
So, but On a Lake of Dead Trees was such a big, like that kind of like made it, like people like really vibed with that record. So, and then was the idea like, hey, we're going to get away from that a little bit? Like, just, or was it just like, this is what you were doing at the time?
My answer to that is, I mean, Dead Trees is largely my record. It's a lot of, I mean, we were hashing stuff out in the band like we always did,
right?
But there were like 3 or 4 ideas where I was coming in and say, hey, let's do this here, and like at this part, the bass will just do this, and like I had just orchestrated these things, and like that was very much my record from that point of view. By the time it was out and done, I was kind of out of things to say.
Interesting. Okay.
I could have chopped out another Dead Trees, no problem.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to. And meanwhile, we had picked up another guitar player, and Rob had stepped up as a writer, playing more and more keys. Like, no, I'm talking like a keyboard at my drum kit, like
right,
kind of
like full on. Yeah. Like this is not like a additional seasoning. This is a ingredient.
It's another member of the band. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of took a back seat writing wise, because having to work out the tonalities of the other guitar player and like finding out which sonic real estate we're each going to occupy, which took a long time to figure out. But like you're also dealing with like kind of essentially 2 new members of the band, really. Like,
yeah.
So it's like there's enough new material coming in to where I didn't feel.
One of them has great time though, so that's good.
Yeah.
But like,
and it's like. By default, it's not going to sound like the last record. So I'm like,
right.
well, okay, let's just go.
Even if you tried to, which you weren't, then you're going to be in a situation where it's going to sound different, just by nature of the fact that, like, again, I'm glad you bring up too the difference with 2 guitar players. and the sensibility sonically of like, okay, just in the frequency ranges and what people are playing. Like, how do you differentiate these things? Should they be differentiated? Are there things that should be more melded? But this is melded, this is differentiated. Who knows? Like, those are things you have to think about, especially when you're going with something that's you've been on, more or less autopilot or not, or at least not thinking about for like years and years, right?
Yeah. It opened up like a bunch of uncomfortable questions that, you didn't think you were ready for. It's like, how do I tell him I don't like that note? Or how do I tell him his sound's not good there? Or how do I tell him like, I don't know. It's all of a sudden you think like, oh, we got this guy. He's a rad player. He's a rad guy. He's just going to gel.
Yeah.
And it's not always the case. But and that guy left a year and a half later.
Yeah.
But
that is the truth. Yeah.
Hey,
everybody. Yeah. Thank you. We'll be here all night.
But so as little as that record made sense, the shows were really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really felt like we were like part of like a bigger kind of scene type thing. But the very next, we were starting to talk to Stiff Slack, that label in Japan.
Yeah. Is that when that EP came out?
Yeah.
The one
that was the next thing we put out.
Yeah. It's like the dark, kind of like it's dark
blue.
outside.
Yeah.
This is a horrible description. I'm sorry.
Under black sails. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Like I said, it's like dark.
Like it's dark and clouds and dark.
It's dark too. Also, it's dark.
Yeah. But that guy had been contacting us like 4 or 5 months after The Truth had come out. And like he was wanting to get like more American bands onto his label.
God, awesome.
And yeah, it was great. I don't know why he contacted us, but he said like, hey, so I love The Truth. The Truth's awesome. Do you guys have extra songs?
Yeah.
And he's like, because I'd like to put out an EP, and like so the band that just made pulled 20 songs out.
Yeah, I was gonna say what my smart ass response would be like, what, that wasn't enough for you?
Yeah.
But yeah.
He wanted something exclusive, so he asked if we had extra songs. And
yeah.
I said yes, and of course we didn't.
Hey, yeah, we'll just whip some up for you in the back.
Yeah,
kitchen.
so we kind of started hobbling together a few ideas during sound checks on the later tours on that year. But
because you guys weren't just sitting around, right? You weren't just sitting around waiting for something to happen. You were out there doing it too, and it's very difficult to do both of those things. Usually. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So that was 2005. That gets us there.
Yeah.
Went to Japan in 2005. Did 5 shows there. That was awesome.
Yeah, that seems like that would have been pretty cool.
Amazing, yeah. And then we were trio again for the next 3 records.
Right.
Yeah, Wolves. Yeah, Wolves was. I don't know what to say about Wolves.
I mean, you're back down to the core trio, right? So
core trio, yeah, I guess core trio, but like with now more than ever, like more and more keyboards at our disposal. So like
that's when the keyboard really started to kind of be like, oh wow.
Rob was really intrigued by that. He was really intrigued by that. He was like, it would be so cool if like the same 3 guys that made About Tomorrow's Mileage like just picked up keyboards. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like that's not gonna. Like I was down. Like I was into it.
Yeah, there's some really cool tunes on there. Like it's definitely doesn't sound exactly like the thing that came before, the thing before that. Like it's growth, it's change.
It sounds like the band from the last record just trying something else. I'm like 75% okay with it. There's like 3 songs I wish I could kind of fix, but the things I like though I still like a lot. And then let's see.
Yeah, the EP with Drop Sonic, right?
The split. Good call. Thank you. Xerxes. Yeah, we toured with those guys 3 times. Those guys were amazing.
Yeah.
And actually, we wouldn't do it until 2012, but we would eventually go record with Dan Dixon, their singer. He's engineered our last 3 records, but for some reason we weren't ready for him yet. But yeah, we did that split EP with them. That was cool. We did 2 songs. They did 2 songs, and then we each, I don't know how advertised this was, but then we each recorded a 3rd song, and removed the guitar and sent it to the other band without them ever hearing the guitar. And just leaving that guy to be like, all right, here, write your part.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what those 2 extra songs are.
Oh, cool. All right. So that's kind of, all right. So that's, that's interesting. That could have gone a different way, but that's
positive. We came up with that on tour and we thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great tour activity, right? You know, like what's something we can occupy our time with a little bit that would be heady and difficult for people to understand. All right. I got an idea.
Until you actually try it, and then it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Was there things that had to be adjusted or changed or anything with that?
No. It worked out fine.
Wrong kind of discordance.
That's a bigger problem than you think.
I know. I believe it. The wrong kind of discordance happens more often than I think some bands care to admit. But anyway,
Any 2-guitar band can tell you that.
Yeah. Like, no, I got what you were trying to do. I'm just saying. Like I did. That was never in doubt. Can you just make me? Can you
make me hate you more?
Exactly.
Where's that note?
Exactly. I have too much affinity towards you. Can you like just really agitate me for no real good reason? Maybe put me in a bad mood. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So when do you meet Congleton?
We met Congleton a long time ago. We met Congleton. He was almost our choice for On Like a Dead Trees.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the Paper Chase was just they were just 2 hours away. And we had the same booking agent at the same time too. We met.
A band, man.
So good. God, they were so crazy.
I feel like there's like a resurgence that should happen with Paper Chase. And
if they reunited today, it would be enormous. They could kill.
Yes.
They could do it. They could kill. Not that John needs the money, but
no, he's doing okay.
Yeah.
but I mean, it's great band and never made a bad record too.
Nah, they were great. He got me the sickest I've ever been in my life. We met those guys. The very last date of the About Tomorrow's Mileage tour was in Conway, Arkansas, and they played after us, and like we met them finally. That was the first time I'd seen them.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard about you guys. You guys, yeah, you're the Rad Texas band. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, nice to meet you guys. And John's like, hey man, I'm deathly ill. Like I'm really sick. Yeah, I passed out last night. Blah 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 blah. He's like coughing. And like they play the set, they just destroy. Yeah. And then John just like collapses. I get on stage, we set up, we start playing. I run up to the mic, and my mouth touches the soggy mic thing. So I've sung 2 words, and my brain's already gone, well, I just got whatever that guy got. And that was at the end of a horrible, horrible, horrible tour. I was like surviving on sugar packets from Denny's and like, like it's malnourished. My immune system was probably garbage because I was eating garbage. But like,
of course, yeah.
But then like we got home like December 20th, got in the car with my parents, went out east for Christmas with my parents. I spent the entire Christmas holiday like 8 blankets over me, shivering to death. I think of John Congleton every Christmas.
Thanks, the Kong. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, but he was almost our choice for. Sorry, that was a really unnecessary detour.
No. You've heard the show.
Yeah,
that's what people tune in for.
But we were talking to him as early as Dead Trees. He was like,
"Yeah,
hey, I charge this and this," and like to ourselves, we were like, "Well, what if it doesn't work out?"
Yeah.
So so we ended up going with this guy in town. So it was like, well, let's go in town that way. If it sucks, we didn't blow money on gas and lodging or whatever. But yeah, we were finally ready for him around record number 5.
Yeah,
which was I Am Forever.
Yep.
Which that was our last record for Ascetic Records.
So Jeremy's on that as does some sax, right? If I remember correctly.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's right. John had 3 rooms he had in mind and said, like, he asked us what our budget was, and he recommended Pachyderm.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Like the Soul Asylum in Euro records on the wall. So we used that drum room.
Nice.
And tracked. We did like 5 songs there. Some of that stuff ended up on Remains later, but did 5 songs there, and then we did the rest. We did most of the rest of it in Texas at John's place and another studio that he works
Which
at.
was, pretty great too. I mean, like, it's not like that was like a consolation prize or anything, but yeah.
No.
But it's also the Utero drum room's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, which apparently I think John told me that he didn't use that room.
Oh, really?
No, I heard he used the lobby, like where you walk, like where like the couches and the mini fridge are as you walk to the control room. He set up there.
How funny!
He was like, I think I have that right. But I remember being there and someone said, "Hey man, follow me. Let me show you where Dave did his drums." And like we're standing there like in the break room. He's just like,
right here.
Yeah.
That building went up for sale earlier this year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and it's there were some people like, we should buy it, and then of course, oh, we don't have any money.
Yeah.
Like how those conversations normally go.
Yeah. Well, we stayed in that guest house, which had a pool and had like I was like, nice. Who in Deep Purple had this place? Like,
right.
Yeah. Super lavish and like all these like just pictures and records on the wall and shit.
Rad, love that stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's a great record. Actually, Congo never recorded Replicator, but he recorded the Mount Vicious record around. I think it was around the same time that that was happening, and I remember specifically because he had a lot of stories about how you were basically were the crown kings of being the funniest band around. Was his take on things, and I was like,
"That's hilarious."
I was like, yeah. I'll be the judge of that. That's
funny.
But yeah, he was very, very excited about that record.
That's funny. We pissed our pants making it, man. He was funny. He told me like he's always going to be that quirky genius from the Paper Chase to me. Like, despite all his success, I still see that. I still see that kid like yelling into the mic on the ground with his cabinet on top of his head. Like
with this crazy like snake like movements where it's like, what? How does your body move that way? Like,
his physicality is so bizarre.
I don't understand. Like, so he said, like, even if he wasn't just this incredible Grammy-winning producer, or even like recording a band's album, just as a performer, as just like what a unique voice. Like, how many people spend their entire life trying to like just do something unique and interesting? It just seems to like it's like, oh no, there's a thing that he does that I've really never heard anyone else do. Like it's like his thing. Multiple.
You meet that guy. You talk to him for like 20, 30 seconds, and then you go up on stage and you hear his band for 20, 30 seconds, and you're like, "Yep,
I'm all in."
That's him. That sounds like the music that guy makes.
He's supposed to come on the show again. I keep forgetting to have him. I had him on. Actually, it was right before. It was right before he won the Grammy, the St. Vincent Grammy. I told him, I was like, "You need me to kneecap Jack White for you?" It's on record. Whatever episode 20 or something. It's like 1,000 years ago, right? But
I'll go back and check that.
No, it's probably not great. I remember it was New Year's Day. I remember that distinctly. But that's the last time he was on. That was a long time ago.
Oh man,
I love that guy though. I wish that did you ever see him do? He didn't do that much of it, but the Nighty Night. Did you see that at all?
I do recall him coming up and playing Norman, and I couldn't make it for some reason.
Yeah, that was great.
I was away. It was just him, right?
Yeah, it was just him and like just really all these backing tracks and stuff. Like it was really like lush and crazy.
Oh, okay. But
like it worked. But I think like if you had no frame of reference, you might be like, what am I looking at? Like it's sort of like it's kind of like it was hard for people to get. But I think that like if he had gone out with St. Vincent, right, and been the opening act on those huge sound systems, it would have been like got over immediately.
Forget it, yeah.
But like if you're like playing like the Nightlight in Oakland or something per se, that it's sort of like if you do Paper Chase, you're stoked, and if you don't, you're like what's happening? Right? Is this art?
Last call.
Yeah, exactly. It is in that way that like things can be pearls before swine, even at a well-meaning crowd, if the context isn't right. Anyway, it was great.
Did he release that stuff?
did he release that stuff? I'm not sure if he did. Now that I think
I'll look it
about
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a. There was a thing on the internet. Yeah. It's called Until the Horror Goes. That's right.
Okay.
And
it seems like I was hearing about stuff and then I wasn't. Like I'm not sure if that just ended when he moved to LA or what. But
yeah, he just got real busy, and doing
Rightfully
cool
so.
shit. So I mean,
yeah.
I can't hard to argue with that. But
Yeah. But man, he ended up being the best choice for that record.
it's a great sounding record, man. Yeah.
It really is. It's bizarre. And like he would kick us out for mixing.
Yeah.
He would just like, get out.
Yeah.
But,
you can hear it when it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we all had ideas. We all had ideas of how we thought that we wanted things to go, and like
Sure.
we come back and hear his rough mixes, and they were never what we had in mind.
Yeah.
But 10 out of 10 times they were more interesting than what we had in mind. So like, yeah,
super good at that kind of stuff. And I get the like, look, you can hear it when it's done.
yeah. Well, no, and once I kind of got his trip, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll leave.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I know it's better when I come back.
Right. Well, I mean, whatever gets the best results, right? Sure, absolutely.
And it'll be more exciting.
Yeah.
I would love to work with him again. But yeah, that was good. That was 2008. We went up there in 08 and did that with him. The record didn't come out until 09.
Yeah.
We had extra songs on that, and that became the Remains EP.
That was Remains, right? Yeah. The
double 7
inch.
inch.
Yeah.
Which John tracked all 4 of those songs, but Dan Dixon, who's recorded us ever since, mixed it.
That's right.
And that's really good. Yeah. And then, Little Mafia handled the vinyl for I Am Forever. And then we were on nothing but Little Mafia for the next 2 records. That was Supernatural Disasters, which came out in 2013, and Time Will Never Know Your Name, which came out in 2016.
Right. So Supernatural Disasters, you got some, I think Andrew, Tilts Andrew.
Elsner, Elsner's on that.
Is on that one, right? And
Jason Blackmore, Dan Dixon.
Yep.
The guy who recorded. Yeah, Dropsonic Dan's on that. Jason from Sisters and Molly Maguire.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that record was another one of my. That's another record that I had a pretty big hand in. But like that was, I call that the Garage Band record.
like the program.
Yes, indeed. Oh, yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay.
I demoed 11 songs,
and
the guys liked 9 of them, and then Rob wrote 1. But basically, like, once we agreed on the tempos, like we basically just, Rob was living in Atlanta by then, and he said, "All right, well, just send me your demo and but take out the drums and just tell me what the tempo is," and then he, with a click in my demo, like lay down a drum track, like 100% of the drum tracks on that record were done without another human being in the room, but.
That's crazy.
And just one by one.
That's a wild way to work. I mean, I guess at that point,
And it was cool that we could do it, but it wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
It's not a very human sounding record. Whereas this record and the last one, Time Will Never Know Your Name, those 2 records really do sound like a band facing each other in a room, and like there's just certain quirkinesses to the performances, and I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I really like that on that record, and I really wanted to duplicate it on this one, and we did. It's written by the 4 of us, man.
So let's before we get into the new one, Time Will Never Know Your Name, right? That was like what that was right after the election. That was like December 2016. Ooh,
it was.
Yikes. Goo.
I saw Sabbath that night too.
Cheery time. What's that?
I saw Sabbath on Electric Night.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, kind of perfect.
We were, dude, we were tracking the day after the election, which for some reason I thought was a good idea, and yeah, that was weird, man. We're all standing around like, all right, I guess let's play some music.
All right. Life is good. Let's rock.
Let's not look at the news, I guess.
Yeah. 2016. Yeah.
What a time.
So then, like, I was on track to like, all right, let's get the next record started. That was
Yeah.
in December of 2019.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah.
Timing's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Nothing happened then, right? That was
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a very momentous time. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a note here. Yeah. So time will never know your name. That's what the AKA the triangle one, pyramid one.
The triangle, yeah.
He's got all the triangles.
Yeah, the triangle.
It sounds like more like band playing together.
Yeah, none of those songs were garage banded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's just too many spots when we write organically. There's just too many times where somebody will hear something that we don't hear. Hey, no, stay on this and let's drag this out for a minute. And like we kind of like organically write things out, and like it just when you demo things, you just don't think like that. You just I don't know. I tend to think more linear, just more quick and to the point. So that record kind of
first decision's usually best kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, we've had Ross Lewis playing guitar with us for 12
Who's
years
great.
now.
Yeah.
He's our secret sauce, man. He's great.
That guy's badass.
He delivered on this record too, man. He's written a lot. But having him in the band's been great. And the four of us are all we really get along, and we really wanted to write this record as a band.
And it sounds very much like you did. Well, because you did. So it's a good reason why. And let's go through it. Let's go through it song by song, because at the time of this recording, it's not fully out in the world. But of course, these things are archival. It's an on-demand world. People listen to things whenever they want to listen to things. And I know you got a lot of thought behind these songs, and there's been a lot of time sitting with them. So let's, if you don't mind, let's go through each of the songs, and you can kind of like maybe tell me a little bit about each one.
You're not gonna. Oh, on which one?
It's on the new one, on Alley Parade. I'm talking about now.
Okay,
So.
you're just gonna play the ones.
We're not going to play them. We're not going to play them.
You can only play. I gotcha.
So we're just going to talk about them, but people can.
Okay.
I mean, I can play them if you
No.
need like an audio clue, but
I don't.
Okay.
We can talk about it. Hang on 1 second.
The problem with doing that is when you're involved with YouTube, then YouTube will be like, copyright notice. Even if it's a band, it's like, they're on here to promote this record, dude. Like, it's not a copyright notice.
Yeah, I'm a little early on this, but okay, let's start at the top.
So, Cheap Charisma.
Cheap Charisma. That's musically, that was a Ross Lewis nugget. One of the last ones we came up with, actually. In a nutshell, lyrically, I was writing it about watching the lives of people who give you advice, and checking that person's credibility, like by their own circumstances before they tell you about yours.
Right.
Pretty close, pretty cut and dry on that one.
Was there anything with it being first? Like, again, as one of the last songs in, was there anything that like you're like, yeah, that should be the first song?
No. What drove that decision was we didn't know what else to start it with. We had all these songs. We're like, well, how do we start this thing? And like every song seemed like the wrong idea. And then that one came up. We're like, I think it's this one, man. Like it seemed really obvious to me, but like it took some talking.
It seems like a good opener. I mean, it seems like there was some thought behind it. Like it doesn't seem like out of sorts or anything. You know?
No, it works. It sets the tone. There's a lot of up moments on this record, and that's one of them. There's a lot of light and shade, but I think it's good that we start off with that one. That's good.
I think so as well. Luckily you do.
Yeah. I think we played that at Caterwall.
Yeah. I remember it. Well, that's a good sign if you can remember something when you haven't heard the goddamn record, right? I was like, oh yeah, it's that one. I remember that one. Cool. So Face Thieves is second. That's one of the ones that's publicly available right now.
Yeah, that's the first.
At the time of this recording. Yeah.
I just told my wife to turn the air on. Hang on. Hey, you can turn the air on? Yeah. Dying in here.
How hot is it down there right now?
We're actually having the first non-triple digit day in weeks.
Oh, fantastic! That's awesome.
Yeah, high was like 90 today.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
So
short time.
we've opened the windows and turned off the air. But now I'm just kind of like, okay, it's not October yet. Let's
It's time to have the air conditioning back on.
pump the brakes.
Right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Face Thieves. That was one that I actually demoed myself, but then it was one of those things where once I showed it to the band, like a minute in, we're doing something else. So the first minute is very much how I demoed it, but then it just takes on a life of its own.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I was kind of wondering about that. Yeah.
I might release my demo one day because it's a completely different song after the first minute, at least.
Yeah, because it kind of takes off in an unexpected way. So
we love our detours, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
That could be the name of the box set.
Detours. Yeah. That was one of the few ones that we were actually playing before the pandemic. And that turned out okay.
What's with the title?
I had every intention of changing it. I don't. That was my garage band title that I thought was just clever and like I'll just know what it means later. Having no intention of doing it. And like I tried a couple other things and like your bandmates always refer to the working title for months later anyway.
Right, exactly. They'll
then
never
like,
pay attention to what the real title is.
Yeah, and like I said,
let's do Jana. Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Let's play New 4.
Yeah, that's why I stopped having working titles.
Yeah, I know. I really should stop doing that. But
because I'd be like, it's not called that. It's called this now.
yeah. But everything it seemed like everything I was trying to come up with to fix it was just worse, or like just no, that's not it. And like
yeah.
It was actually Dan Dixon who said like we were tracking and like we were doing overdubs and vocals or something, and he was at one point he just kind of leans around. And he calls it Facey. He's like, "Are you really going to call it that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm probably going to change it." And like an hour later, he just kind of leans back and goes like, "Man, it's a pretty good title."
It's evocative. It doesn't do any harm, but it's evocative. That's kind of a good title.
I just didn't want people to think of that movie Face Off.
Oh yeah, I didn't until you said that. But
great.
Yeah.
No, you take that out.
Okay. I'll get my finest producers on that.
Yeah, that's one of those songs that like you look at the length and you're like, oh shit, really? Is it that long? Like, yeah. But that came together pretty nicely. That's one of the best examples I have of like all four of us working together. Like that's all four of our stamps are on that song.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is all four of us for sure.
Unfinished Secrets is next.
It's the mellow one. That one I did write by myself. That's just a song about loss and just getting through it.
Been a lot of that.
Got too much, man. I had it was just the main theme was something I'd been playing for a long time, and it just sounded good playing it over and over and over again. It's really repetitive. There's only one other part in the song, honestly, but I felt good, and I just once I got verses to it, I don't know, it felt okay. So I thought I'd let the guys have a crack at it.
Is that a contradiction to the Finished Secrets, huh?
That's right.
Finished Secrets could be the sequel.
Yeah. That'll be the 9th album.
Yeah, exactly. You do a split 7-inch, Unfinished Secrets, back with Finished Secrets. Okay. There you go. The New Low.
The New Low. That's a song that Rob brought to the. It's the second single that Spartan just released, or I guess a few weeks back. Is one of those things where the songs Rob comes in with like a loop, like one of those like bing bong bang bong bing bong bong here, like he has a click and like he just starts one of these loops and like we just kind of like we'll jam to it, like all right, what's the key? Yeah, and then we'll just kind of fuck around with it. So we wrote the song with this thing behind it, and then by the time we were done, we just kind of like we found ourselves getting like real fatigued with it. Our ears were just like, I'm glad that's over. Like, why are we not liking this? And finally, we decided to take the loop out.
Mm-hmm.
and that's the version that exists on the record.
So the thing that originated the whole
Yeah.
the whole thing is not even in there. That's great.
Yeah, we have a history of that where the very impetus of the song never makes it to the actual song. We have a few of those.
Yeah.
That's one of those things.
You could have just the loop be the newest low.
And make that the bed for finished secrets.
Exactly. See, this guy gets it.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Wow. Okay. I would not. That's interesting. I would not have thought that with that one.
Yeah.
Rare talk.
Rare talk. That closes off side one.
Can I say? I think it's my favorite song on the record.
Thank you. Why?
I don't know. I just find myself going back to it more often. I mean, it's got the classic rockisms to it, but then it doesn't. And I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. And it's not the only one that does that, but yeah, for some reason I keep coming back to that one.
Yeah, that one takes a hard left turn for sure. But I like it. What did I? Yeah, we had other plans for that one, but like I think that we just arrived at what we arrived at. Lyrically, I was trying to come up with. I wrote it about like when someone's, I don't know, the second when someone talks to you, you can tell they're not being real or ingenuine or whatever. And then like you do enough of that in your life. And then like when you sit down with like a good buddy or something like that, it's like, oh man, it's good to have this rare talk or whatever. Like that's where the title came from. It's like, why is this so rare? Like, why are we always bullshitting each other? Like,
yeah, like as a default being like this insincerity and kind of, that's a good question.
Yeah, sure. So that's where the idea of the title came from. And I just kind of lyrically try to come up from this, right from the standpoint of like somebody trying to internally answering questions while they're talking to somebody that's not making any sense at all.
Right.
Yeah. But musically that one came out really interesting. I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, it's again, it's unexpected, but
that's cool. Okay, I'll go with that. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're never gonna. I say this on the show all the time. You're never gonna make your millions catering to Conan Neutron, but I like it.
Awesome.
Living Proof.
Living Proof. I think that's going to be the next single that Spartan puts out. Nice. That was, I think, one of the last two we wrote for the record, and that was one of those ones. You labor on some songs for a long time, and then one day you come in with like, oh, I had this part.
Yeah.
And then 45 minutes later, you have a song.
Yeah.
That was one of those.
It's one of those. Yeah. We're just like, wow, why was that so easy?
Yeah. Yeah. We were like, it was like 6 p.m. or something like that. And by 6:45, we were like, did we just write a song? Like,
yeah,
let's call it good.
Yeah. But don't look a gift horse in the mouth,
Absolutely not. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never Present is the next one.
Never Present. Okay.
Is there a lack of space between those for a reason?
Yeah, just a play on the word, just a play on the word of ever present. I didn't know if that was one word or not. Dang. I wasn't positive if that was hyphenated or not, but
I don't know.
I've taken some liberties. I've taken some liberties here and there with some like, is that a word? Like, probably not. But yeah, the meaning is there.
I see it both ways. I'm looking it up right now, and I see it with hyphens. I see it without. So I think it's one of those maybe like different regions or whatever. This isn't a grammar.
It's like flavored. It's like flavored.
Flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flav. Yeah.
I'll let the grammar police get on me on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was Ross and I kind of came up with most of that. That was Ross and I. I don't remember much about it other than when Chris came in and started putting bass on there. I really liked it. The bass line on that song is really, that's Chris at his most Joe Lally-ish. Which,
sure, I can hear that. Yeah, in a good way.
Which never bothers me.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Ross and I kind of ran with some of the guitar stuff. We wrote that outro and did acoustic guitars at the end of it. It's kind of a bizarre one. Yeah, that's that one.
The Lonely Halt.
The Lonely Halt. Okay. Yeah, we played that at Caterwall too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's the big heavy one in 7. There's no
Yes.
yeah.
So I remember I was walking from point A to point B, and I was like, I think this is in like 7 or something. I'm not a big time signature guy, but like I definitely was like,
me neither. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is, yeah. Like I was thinking about it as I was going to do whatever mundane task I was doing, unfortunately. But
yeah,
that's
yeah. I didn't even catch those in 7 until afterward.
Nice.
But I think we were in the middle of some like kind of big, like heavy, like Melvin-y kind of jam, and like it went for like 12 or 13 minutes or something like that, and it just went nowhere. But Chris kind of started that. What ends up being the main riff of that song is a fill that Chris did.
Yeah.
And like it's like there it is. 13 minutes later, like we get one nugget, and then we take that. Like, all right, that will be the riff we lead up to, and then yeah. But like it took a minute to find that nugget to sort of like make to the destination. But
then when you got it, you got some gold, right?
We got it. Yeah. Another odd song, vocally sparse.
Yeah.
Heavy and stark. Yeah, that's that one. Let's see. Futures is the next one.
Yeah, Futures.
That was the literally last song that we wrote before we went to Georgia. That was a Ross. I think the whole thing is Ross, actually. That was a Ross song. Yeah, he had it demoed, and we showed us the parts real quick. And I think that was another one where by the end of that practice, we're like, yeah, okay, put that on the pile.
Yeah. Does that happen? How often does that happen?
What him coming up with
just kind of having something more fully formed, like
yeah. That happens. I would say maybe 30 to 40% of the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, because backpedaling to what I said, it's usually when everyone stamps on it, just morale's better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if everyone's invested their time and their creativity to it, it's just, I don't know, people will hang out longer. Like, it just, I don't know. It's good for the team.
Look at REM,
Yeah, man. It just helps the team mentality. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a cool song.
Yeah, this is one of those. Yeah, he came up with that and just brought it, and it was good. And then, without giving too much away about Narrow Souls, I'll just say that Ross and I came up with it, and it sort of ties back into something earlier in the record. Maybe. Okay,
because that's an interesting one. That's.
I'll stop there.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Was there? Did you know that's how you wanted to end the record?
Once we had the first song chosen, yes.
Got it. Okay.
There was some talk about ending each side with one of those, but I'm putting way more mystery on this. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's just it's a nice closing salvo to the record. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a good 8th record closer, right?
Yeah, and there were other songs that didn't make it, so no plans yet. But we do have stuff to fiddle with.
Oh
wow!
Tell me about the record cover.
Oh, well, I think our mutual friend Austin Tackett.
I do, yeah.
We asked him to come up with some collages, and that's what he came up with. He came up with a bunch, actually. I think he gave us 6, and we used 3. We used this one. There's one on the back cover, and I think there's a different one on the insert. I'm not sure. It might be the same as the back cover. I'm not sure. But yeah, Tackett, man, he came through for us.
Good dude.
He's an amazing dude. He had done Chris, our bass player, and Ross, our other guitar player.
Let's see there.
They have a band. There you go. Yeah. They have a band called.
By the way, people on the podcast are like, what the hell are they talking about?
What is this? Yeah.
So there
it
is.
They have another band called Alumnus.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
And yeah, we've known Austin for a long time. He's been a friend for years. But
I told him I had
did.
you on this week and Sleepytime Gorilla Museum, and it's pretty much Austin week.
Oh shit! Trey lost it.
He was stoked.
Yeah, but he did collages for their album too. I like to look at that. So I also felt like we were kind of artistically in a rut cover wise.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought we'd give Tackett a crack at it, and he's a fan, thankfully. So
yeah, it's cool. It's a nice it's an awesome record cover. And,
yeah, it's beyond anything any of us would have come up with.
Right. And there's like 3 iterations, looks like, at the time of this recording anyway, that the Toxic Sludge ones are sold out. So sorry, Toxic Avengers. You are going to have to go for some less toxic options. But there's Black Ice and the regular collage as well. So good record, man. It's very cool. Yeah, I know we kind of went back and forth on doing this a while just because I've been so busy. But hope some people check it out. Beyond just the normal people that check out your stuff. I mean, more people check it out, I should say.
Yeah. No, for sure. I even thought playing Caterwaul earlier this year was kind of a dice roll. Somewhat. I don't know. It's like I don't really think of that scene as like our bread and butter necessarily, but then I saw you play, and I saw like there's other like keyboardy, noisy kind of. There's a lot. I thought that stylistically it was going to maybe be more rigid than I was expecting. But
I think a lot of people expect that.
Yeah, it was the exact opposite. It was rad.
And we try very hard to actually kind of rail against that, frankly. Like that's not of interest to us. And there's other places that do that well, and good for them, but that's not what we're trying to do. Like we're it's more like a home for the eccentric and weird more than anything else. And I was
just going to ask, is that just for the sake of being inclusive?
I mean,
and just being, you know what I mean? Not.
It's also like, who wants to hear 17 dudes yelling bands in a row, man? I don't.
A bunch of gnarly bros like neck beaters yelling at you.
Even when I love some of those bands, I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of nice when it's not all just one thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't need 7 of these. Yeah, today.
And also, just it is nice to be representative for sure, but like it's also just we're trying to showcase what's cool, you know?
Yeah. I had a blast, man. The spirit of that was really cool. But like,
that's awesome.
I'm often in the dark on where I think we belong.
Okay.
And like I thought maybe some
Did
of
you
our
feel
rock
like
and
you were
roll
going to be
isms-
an outlier or something?
I thought some of our rock and roll isms were going to be, you know. Yeah. I lost that within 10 seconds. I got there within 10 seconds. That was fine, but I was prepared to do it though.
Sure. No. That's I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that, as you well know. But
yeah. I quickly got the vibe as I got there, and I was like, "Oh, this is rad. I like this." Like, the second, we're gonna be fine. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Love the record, man. What else is coming up for Traindodge? So this is coming out, and what do you got coming up?
Spartan Records has September 22nd as the release date.
Yep.
Rob lives in Seattle, so shows are tricky. Yeah. We're looking at November for a release show, and we're going to do some stuff around that.
Nice.
And hopefully ramping up to get this thing out and play for some actual people in 2024.
I like that's like near the end of the show where we just sort of very casually. Oh yeah, Rob lives in Seattle. Oh yeah, forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, we haven't lived in the same town in a while. But we make it work.
I mean, do you have frequent conversations and interactions that are non-musically related, or is it just kind of like?
Oh, we talk every Sunday.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of people get very curious about long-lived bands and you know how to make that happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, being brothers for sure helps.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, like I'll be playing with Rob in some capacity for the rest of my life, probably, as long as we're able.
Yeah.
I ideally would love it to be this band as long as we can, and like at this point, I feel like
You're
we're
not out
together.
of ideas. I mean, it's still
no. And man,
Still sounds good.
I'm still demoing stuff. I got new stuff, but
Great.
at this point, I kind of feel like we're leaning into our longevity just to be crass at this point. Like,
Well, and it's
of
kind
course,
of
it'll be a 42nd anniversary. Of course, we will. What do you mean?
yeah, naturally, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard the what was it? Like the NPR affiliate thing. That was cool. It was like, oh, all right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my buddy Jed. Yeah, he does a lot. Yeah, he runs the Wichita NPR station music up there.
You know, it's just there's something to be said for sticking around. I wish I could put it in more. I guess that's pretty succinct. I was gonna say I put it more succinctly than that, but I don't know how I could.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I find it kind of endearing when the Melvins come through all the time. It's
Sure, yeah.
like why not? If you're still good and you're still into it, why not?
If it's good, it's good. And that's the thing that like people get so hung up on the new. Oh, it's got to be the new thing. And why is that? It's okay. Like both those things can coexist. It's a big world.
Yeah, man. Maybe my age is showing, but like you want to get in my face about the new thing. That's just going to guarantee I'm going to get to it way after.
I'm going to make that my lowest priority now.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Like, I will check this out when I think it matters the least.
Right. It's after you've forgotten about it is when I will now listen to this.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, I need the spotlight off of this, but
anything else in the world O Traindodge? You've maintained your own website for a very long time, even though it maybe doesn't have all the updates. You know.
Yeah.
I think you got some upcoming shows in 2017 that you're advertising, right?
Hey, but the show log is fairly current.
Show log is great. Look, man, can I tell you, I've done that in the past, and like it's helped me be like place certain events, be like, oh no, that was around this tour. So like if I can find where that is in the show log, then I can. Oh, that happened, whatever. August 2005. Okay, now I know that because I looked back at the show log. That's what comes in handy. And then I had other people tell me they did the same thing. I'm like, hell yeah, you're making all this. Again, I feel vindicated.
No. You look at that stuff long enough, and then like, if someone says, "Oh man, like, did we ever go to Florida?" Like, yes, like, I already got it because like I've looked at that damn list so many times that like, not even further fact.
Oh, am I losing it, Jason? What's happening here? Is it me?
Toys.
Man, I don't know what's happening here. This is like. Jason, I think your connection went wonky. Let's see. We maybe that might be. I think we're sorting it out here. I think we're sorting it out. Okay, so of course, the record is the Alley Parade. You can get that traindodge.bandcamp.com. Let me go ahead and throw that up on the screen so we've got something to look at. That isn't just me. It's got a great collage. It's got a great Austin from Chat Pile collage on it. It's very cool. So check that out. You can, again, Toxic Sludge, no bueno. But anything else is available at the time of this. I got to buy these things in my cart that Tim Green talked about. It's sitting in my Bandcamp cart for forever. Welcome back. I was just noticing that I said that's fine. I was just noticing that I still have this stuff in my Bandcamp cart that Tim Green was telling me about at the very end of the show, and I keep forgetting about it until I pull up Bandcamp on this computer. And I'm like, oh, I need to buy those things. They're just sitting in this cart for 2 months.
Nice.
All right, so you froze completely during literally all
That's fine. It probably wasn't very important, but yeah.
So I forgot where I was going.
We were winding.
I was trying to wind down the show, but I had somewhere I was going with it, but I can't fucking remember, man. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm fucking exhausted, dude. Dude, thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, man. I'm in some amazing company here. You have a great show. This is a killer.
Well, thank
Sorry
you so
it
much.
took so long.
No, it's fine. You know what? You haven't been on the show, so I'm going to ask you the question, which is, why do you do what you do?
I'll say the quick answer is I never had kids and I'm not into much else. But going deeper, I don't know. I guess like as a kid, I don't know. I was always a big fan of rock music, and I thought that like there would be, I don't know, you would read like Rolling Stone or whatever as a kid because, you know, whoever's on the cover. But then as you eventually page through it, you find like toward the back, like there's like some half-page blurb about some college rock band, like the Black Turtles are back and they're making their triumphant return to this club, and like realizing as a 14-year-old that like I could go to my high school the next day and poll the entire school and like no one's gonna know who this band is, the Turtles or whatever.
Yeah.
But here's some guy in Rolling Stone is willing to write about it, and knowing that there's an audience, and like that just showed me like this is before I found out about punk and DIY and underground music. Even then, I could see that there were like levels and tiers to this, and I remember having the thought that like I wonder if I could make any music, could I find an audience, like an audience, not a big audience, just can I find
Just
one?
an
Like,
audience, yeah.
yeah. And I just wanted to just give it a shot. What I didn't want to do is be 49 and wonder what kind of musician I'd be. I wanted to, like, if nothing else, I can say I gave this a fair crack.
Well, you certainly have. And I, for one, am glad for it. And like I said, it's crazy that we haven't like hung out appreciably more, considering how many times I've seen your damn band over multiple decades.
I know.
But
Going back
into
into the previous century, even.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
back in my day.
Yeah.
Jason, thanks so much, man. It's so great having you on the show. And yeah, I hope we get to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Conan. I hope so.
Take care, brother.
Take care.
There he goes. Jason Smith, Traindodge. What a cool guy. Great record. Let's hear something off of it. Why don't we? Why don't we? This is going to be, this is what I was talking about. This is Rare Talk. I like this one a lot. This one's one of my favorite ones on the record. Rare Talk. Very cool. That is off of the new Traindodge record that you can get. Traindodge.bandcamp.com. Get it your own damn self. You can get all the rest of their stuff, too. They got a lot of records, man. All really good, too. But The Alley Parade is the name of that record. And Traindodge.bandcamp.com. I'd like to thank... Did I really misspell the band name? Oh, man. Traindodge is where Jason Smith is from, not Traindodge, which is what I typed out. Sorry, Jason. I just noticed that. Name of the show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you ever so very much for listening to it. This show airs normally Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. Podcasted later for free. Always. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. ProtonicReversal.com. Always. If you like the show and you want to get episodes sooner, though, $1 a month at patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. We'll get those episodes to you sooner. Additionally, to help support the show, which is something I could frankly use right now. Broke, people. Thanks, everyone, for supporting the show, posting about it, liking, subscribing to your platform of choice, sharing around the internet, even leaving a review. All that helps people discover the show, and it beats back the almighty algorithm. And this is a darn nice thing to do, so thank you so much for doing that. Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, later this week in the normal slot, Thursday. Yeah.
50,000 watts of power.
2 to 4 members of Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. That's awesome. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be really good. There's big Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum news. As we said, Austin from Chat Pile was stoked. I am too, but especially Austin. He loves that band. Thank you everyone for listening, as always.
Microphone turns sound into electricity.
Adult Prom out now. NeutronFriends.bandcamp.com. Flung.
Can you hear me now?
Stay safe out there.
Out on Route 128.
Check you later.
Dark and lonely. I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on Earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio on.